Dear children, let's start this session understanding how a tsunami occurs. Simply, an earthquake under the sea creates a commotion at its bottom, resulting in high tides or tsunami waves. As you can see in the picture from a pie chart, we can understand that while earthquakes remain the predominant cause for tsunamis, there are even some other possible reasons like landslides, volcanoes, atmospherical conditions, and even for some other or unknown reasons also we may get these tsunamis. While sea waves are usually they move in downward motion, the tsunami waves or the tidal waves which are created by a great force at the bottom of the sea, they push the sea waves high upward. Thus, they reach up to 30 to 40 feet height and they float across the seashores and thus they inundate the region. Dear children, you know that on 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. During that natural calamity, during that nature terror, many things happen along the coastal side. So now we're going to see different stories that have been collected all from Andaman Nicobar Archipelago, means a group of many islands and the surrounding sea part. Here from the map given in the textbook, you can see there are several islands in Andaman and Nicobar as well. In Andaman, there are several islands like North Andaman, Middle Andaman, Lower Andaman, Port Blair, Andaman Sea, and Little Andaman. And in Nicobar, we have Car Nicobar Island, Tarasa Island, Kachil Island, Nan Kauri Island, Little Nicobar Island, Great Nicobar Island. So these are the different islands which were there in Andaman Nicobar. Now, whatever the stories we are going to read all about from different parts of these islands only. The first story is about a man, Ignatius. He was living in Kachil Island and he was the manager of a cooperative society in Kachil itself. One day, his wife woke him up at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. So, waken up by his wife, Ignatius immediately took his television set from the table and put it down on the ground. Why? Because there were tremors or there was earth shaking, so the TV set might fall down from the table. So he put it on the ground so that it could be safe. Then the family, what did they do? They rushed out of the house. Why do you think they rushed out of the house? During an earthquake, it's not safe to be inside any construction. So all the family members, they rushed out of the house. When the tremors stopped, tremors means the slight shakings of the earth. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. The moment they stopped, the tremor stopped. What did they see? They saw the sea rising. High tides are coming. So they didn't understand what was happening there. In chaos and confusion, in quite a disorder and confusion, in chaos and confusion, two of his children, uh, they caught hold of the hands of their grandmother's father and mother's brother, uncle, and rushed in the opposite direction. And sad to know that he never saw them again. Who? Ignatius never saw them again. Whom? His uncle, I mean his father in law and his brother in law, and his two children. They all together rushed, but they were swept away by those sea waters. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. Only Ignatius and three of his children were able to survive that tsunami. Now there is another story. It's about Sanjeev, a policeman. He was serving in the Kachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself. When the tsunami waves attacked on their places, he managed himself to save his wife and his baby daughter from the waves, and they were running towards a safe place. Then he happened to hear the cries for help. Somebody was crying for help, and when he looked back, it was the wife of John, the guest house cook. There was a person called John. He was a cook in a guest house, and his wife was caught in those tsunami waves, and she was crying for help. So Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her. Unfortunately, he could not save her, but he too lost his life because they were both swept away in tsunami waters. And the third story is all about a 13-year-old Meghna. She was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. See how horrible it is. Just we can't imagine a 13-year-old girl all alone floating in the sea, holding a wooden door. And 11 times she saw the rescue helicopters overhead. She saw the helicopters, the rescue team helicopters hovering over her head, but they didn't see that little girl. She was brought to the shore by a wave, and luckily nobody helped her. The sea wave only helped her. She was holding that wooden door, and a strong wave pushed her towards the shore or the banks of the sea. That's how she reached the shores, but she was found walking on the seashore in a daze, in an incredible, in a completely surprised situation, or a shocking situation, because it was something she never expected to happen in her life. And there is another story about Almaz Javed. He was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, and her father had a petrol bump. Her mother, Rahila's home was in Nankori Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. So Almaz Javed was a 10-year-old girl uh, studying in Carmel Convent in Port Blair, and her mother's home was in Nankori Island. So family went over there to celebrate Christmas. So when the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Alma's father saw the sea water recede. Hmm. So early in the morning, that girl's father, he saw after the tremors, the sea water went back. Recede means to went back or moved back. That means he understood what, when the sea waters went back, they would definitely come forward again with an added speed. So he woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave, means the high, very big wave from the sea, sweeping both of them away. Alma's mother and aunt stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree and they too were washed away. Alma saw a log of wood floating. Then she climbed onto it. Then she fainted. Means she lost her consciousness. When she woke up, she was in a hospital in Kamorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl doesn't want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized, means she was still under a great mental shock, because before her very eyes, she lost all her family members in a minute. When they were in a happy mood of celebration of Christmas, her life capsized, turned it upside down at once when she lost all her family members.